It is a brand new episode of Flyers Daily here on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Flyers Daily is always brought to you by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. I'm Brian Smith in today for Jason Myrtetus on this Friday, the 28th of March. And Jason is doing okay after treatment number 6 of 8 yesterday. It's the custom as it has become here over the last several weeks and months that those few days after treatment take a little more effort to beat cancer down than sometimes some other days. So if you have a moment, if you're in touch with Jason here on social media or wherever have you, send him a stick tap, and hopefully we're going to have him back with us on Monday for Mondays with Meltzer. Picked a heck of a day for me to jump in here as Thursday certainly was a big day in Flyerland with the departure of head coach John Tortorella and the Flyers coming back home from a long road trip and beating the Montreal Canadiens 6-4. So a good win for the Flyers as they get off the schneid a little bit. A couple of tough losses to wrap up that road trip. So certainly the room is happy with how things went on Thursday. But I'm going to take you down a couple of paths here with this edition of Flyers Daily. To start, we're going to bring you Flyers general manager Daniel Briere. He addressed the media on Thursday ahead of the game against Montreal. You can find the full audio of that on the Flyers social media channels, YouTube, Twitter, X, what have you. But we're going to bring you a little bit of a condensed version here, just so this doesn't become the longest ever episode of Flyers Daily here today. But I want to put this whole thing in some context. So we're going to start with Flyers general manager Daniel Briere discussing Thursday morning's news, the dismissal of John Tortorella as head coach of the club.
I'll start with an opening statement here. Usually that's not what I do, but in this case, I'll just start with this. First, I'd like to thank Torts for everything he did, the work that he put into this team and this organization over the last 3 years. Something we want to make sure and address and really say thanks to him for that. You've seen this team play hard over the years. They've showed they have a no-quit attitude ingrained in them. Torts is a very, very big reasons for that, and that standard that he set back in place over the last 3 seasons. Unfortunately, at this time, I felt it was time to go in a different direction, and that starts tonight. I know we have 9 games left, but they're 9 important games for us. I'm looking forward to evaluating our team and continuing to build this team into the summer. So again, thanks to Torts for what he did for us in the last 3 years.
Open up for questions. Danny, can you take us through the timeline? Why now?
I felt it was time, and you're going to ask me, is there one thing that happened? It's not one thing. It's a series of things that have happened, and probably a little bit more in the last 3 weeks that has escalated since probably around the trade deadline, right after that. So, like I said, it's not one thing specific. It's an accumulation that have happened, but probably more often lately.
Those comments, obviously, he made on Tuesday after the Maple Leafs game, I'm sure you saw. Did that play any role whatsoever in the decision you made?
It's one of the things that have happened along the way. That's not the specific reason, and there's not one specific reason. It's one of the things that have happened along the way. There's been different ones as well. So it's not don't just focus on that. I'm not going to get into the specifics of what we dealt with. That's not fair to Torts. We both have opinions, and it doesn't mean that mine is better than his. I don't want to get into that. But we had just some different opinions on different things.
The difference of opinions, was that more about the way things are now or plans for the future?
No, we always had them along the way. And look, Torts is a complicated man. He's a complicated coach. He's a blast to work with because he challenges you. I truly believe he made me a better GM. I loved working with him, and I think he loved working with me. He's not a yes man, and he had opinions, and he's earned the right to share his opinion, and we listened to him. But again, myself, Keith Jones, Dan Hilferty, we felt at this time it was time to move in a different direction.
A sense at all like the losing started to wear on him a little bit? He's a pretty competitive guy.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think not just on him, but on all of us. It's not easy, and that's probably that's the toughest part of the rebuild is going through this. Now, I really hope that this is the bottom. This is rock bottom for us today, and this is the turnaround. The trades were tough. They were tough to send some good players elsewhere and not really replace them in the trades. There were a lot of call-ups, younger guys, and guys that we want to see. So that makes it tough for the team, makes it tough for the coaches. Yes, that was taking a toll on all of us, and Torts included. He hates losing more than probably anybody we know. But I hope moving forward, and I have the feeling that moving forward now it's going to start to get better. And now it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take time. But I feel we're stepping into a different phase of the rebuild. It's still a rebuild, but I feel starting to go into a different phase now.
How do you feel he handled the younger players? And did you get any input from the players in the room before you made this decision?
This had nothing to do with the players. We didn't get any input from the players, but at the same time, we're very close to the room. Jonesy and I are always around. We know what's going on, or we're maybe not everything, but we're pretty aware of what's going on and how things are going. I think Torts did a great job with the young guys. His approach to it, to making them pros, has really helped a lot of guys. Now, everybody reacts differently. There's guys that probably didn't work quite as well, but overall, I think he's done a tremendous job, helping our young guys take a next step, become better leaders and better players on the team.
You mentioned about the post-game comments were just one of many things, but that they were part of it. He said after the game basically that he had little interest in learning how to coach this situation. I guess, do you think that he meant that? Was that poorly worded? What was your evaluation of that?
I feel there's probably more the frustration of the game and getting shellacked there in Toronto, the embarrassment that we all felt, and especially it's even tougher. Like I'm a little removed from that, being up in the press box. I remember being there as a player, and it's tough. It's really tough, and the coaches are right there with the players, and they hear everything. They're in the action with them, so I tend to be careful with that and not put too much stock into it. I think it was I put it more as a he was frustrated with how things have gone lately, and he was embarrassed by the loss that night, just like a lot of our players were.
But I guess, was there concern that the players would take that to mean that their coach wasn't fully invested anymore in them?
I don't know. I didn't have the time really to dive that deep down into it, and now it's really not important anymore. So.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that this came together pretty quickly over the last couple of days. You also said earlier that, this wasn't just one thing, that it was over the course of a few weeks, starting kind of with the trade deadline.
Yep.
Was making a coaching change a serious consideration for you before these last couple of days, or is that new?
No, it's pretty new. I think it really got serious in probably the last few days, I would say.
Before the season, you were excited for Matvei Michkov to play under
Yeah.
John Tortorella.
Yeah.
How do you feel that went?
I think it was a tremendous experience for Matvei to learn from a hard, passionate coach. He coached him hard, and I think he's done a fantastic job. Now, Matvey is one of the most competitive hockey player I've been around, so that fit well too. Not everybody is able to take the hard coaching that John Tortorella put on Matvey. I mean, I've been amazed by how he's responded to it. You know, you've seen him get benched, you've seen him get scratched, and what does he do? He comes back and all he wants to do is stick it back to you or stick it back to Torts. It was really impressive. Every time he was challenged, his competitiveness just rose to the top, and he took over games. So I think it was great. I think Torts did a tremendous job with Matvey.
So there you have it. Some of the key points behind the decision on Thursday morning for the Flyers to move on from John Tortorella as the head coach of the team. Brad Shaw steps in, of course, as the interim head coach, and does so for the first time in 18 years to officially hold the role. A couple of years ago, Tort stepped aside for a few games to let his assistants run the bench, get a little bit of experience in that role. But at the time, officially in the NHL record books, Torts is still the head coach, and I believe that even holds true for the games that he missed last year due to suspension. So officially, for Brad Shaw to be a head coach here on an NHL bench, it's the first time in 18 years, and not many people have had that kind of time span between them. But I think it's more a testament of how good an assistant coach Brad Shaw is, that it took that long for that little mark there. But again, before we move on here a little bit more about the situation, I want to hear from Shawzy, get his perspective on how things went on Thursday. And these are excerpts from his post-game media availability after the game against the Canadiens.
How was this day for you?
Wow. Crazy. A really good friend of mine lost his job. Been a real mentor to me in my career as a coach, so very bittersweet. But once the day starts rolling, you're prepping, and I have a really crappy game card. It's got more defense and penalty kill. It doesn't have enough stuff for forward, so I even realized my game card really wasn't set for what I had to do tonight. But I got a lot of support from the staff, and we kept most things status quo. We weren't interested in doing a lot of tinkering, and I thought the guys played hard and played smart, and obviously we finished more plays at the net and, reaped the benefits and got a big enough lead that we could, take it home and get the win.
One or two more? Was it, and how quickly did it change from you preparing like a normal game to you have to prepare as head coach?
Found out that Torts got fired, and then was asked to go up and see Danny, and talked about the job and what they had as far as plans, for the last 9 games, and then back to my desk and tried to remember how to be a head coach. It's been, like I said, it's been quite a while. So, it was a tough morning. I've yet to talk to Torts. I left a voicemail, and it's just a real bittersweet day, like in so many different ways, and emotional roller coaster. So I'm glad that the roller coaster ended on the high note tonight.
Whenever you get a chance to talk to him, just what would your overall message be to him?
Well, I'm going to thank him for laying the groundwork here, and there's been a ton of good stuff. We were going to reap the benefits for the next 9 games of everything that he laid as far as accountability and the right way to act, not just in the room but on the ice and as a professional. And we're doing these guys a disservice if we're not helping them be good humans too. And I'm not sure there's a better human being in the game. I couldn't have more respect for him as a human being and as a hockey guy. And so he's he's always going to be a friend of mine, and I'm going to thank him for giving me the chance to work with him and learn and become better.
So that's Flyers interim head coach now, Brad Shaw, associate coach previously. I don't know if they're going to print new business cards or not, but it sounds like we need to update his game cards. We'll get that taken care of. But he talked with the media after the game on Thursday against Montreal. Again, a big 6-4 win for the club. And Matt Michkov this close to getting his first NHL hat trick. You can bet that's coming down the road. As Shawsey said, perhaps as soon as Saturday you might see that. But again, that full avail is on Flyer social channels as well. So we did cut it down a little bit, so you can go check that out after this if you like. But that leaves us in a spot here to kind of reflect on at least the first 24 hours here after this decision. And it's again. Certainly unexpected that I think this happened at all on Thursday. Definitely unexpected that I end up in the chair here the day after this has happened. And I'm sure that Jason is going to have his thoughts as well when he hops back on here next week. But, from my perspective, certainly would echo everything that you heard from both Danny and Brad Shaw when it comes to John Tortorella. This is a game that's full of good people. It is so rare to meet negative individuals in this sport that, even sometimes they weed themselves out. It's just a sport full of good people. And I can tell you John Tortorella is at the top of that list. It has been, certainly I think Danny kind of nailed it. Complicated individual, unique individual, but certainly something that brings out the best in someone, I should say, that brings out the best in everybody around them and everything they do, because he demands it essentially. But does so in a way that is that he shows he cares for you. You've heard a lot of folks talk about their dealings with John Tortorella behind the scenes and how he is constantly asking how they're doing, how's their family doing. All of that is true. And the persona that you see on camera and on social media clips and on TV is certainly not, I don't think, reflective of the type of person that we all know him to be. I shouldn't say that in such a general fashion, but the highlights that you see oftentimes are the ones that earn a reputation that I'm not sure is really warranted. So, you look back on some of those things and you think when you're going to meet them that you're going to have to deal with something difficult, but it ends up being the exact opposite. And I think that was all of our experiences here working with Torts. And, it was a tough last few weeks. Personally, I thought you could really see this kind of wearing on him, the situation that the Flyers were in. Even 2 years ago when the team was in a similar situation, it was a little bit different at that point. You kind of knew what was coming. This year, for whatever reason, it just kind of seemed to wear him on a little bit. And, again, we none of us knew what the future held anyway. I would say around the team there was some speculation in the last few weeks that, okay, what's going to happen this summer? We're not sure. Might he move on? Might he call it a career? Might he do this or that? And we thought maybe it would depend on who was available as far as other options for the Flyers at the head coaching position. Obviously, everybody knows that this is a job that never lasts forever. So there was some thought there, but for it to come at this point, I think it was starting to. You could feel it getting to a situation where maybe these last 9 and now 8 games were not going to be as beneficial for the Flyers in terms of their forward planning if the situation stayed the same. Flyers were trying to get a look at guys, trying to figure out with some guys who's staying, who's going. For some guys, they're trying to play for that next contract, whether it's here or somewhere else. And so this change now, I think, kind of changes the atmosphere around the team for these next 8 games. It'll be 9 total here under Brad Shaw. And so it'll give the Flyers probably a little bit of a clearer picture on what is ahead next year. And obviously that will include a new head coach. But, for it to come when it did, I think that's kind of what you're looking at as far as the timing. Certainly a bit of a surprise, but I think it's one of those things that when you look back on it, it starts to make a bit of sense. But, again, my dealings and all of us, I think that work in this sector of the team with him were tremendous. Hockey and Hounds was a fantastic endeavor, and I hope to keep it going. We'll see where it goes. I know a lot of you watching this also enjoyed Hockey and Hounds. That Jason normally hosts that show. I was the producer of it, and so I was, behind the scenes, kind of getting all the dog videos together and things like that. And I know Jason and I both hope to find a way to continue that. Probably not till next year at this point, but what format that'll look like, we're not sure. But hopefully we'll see it come down the road. But that was something that we were both very happy to be a part of, and certainly glad that Torts brought that to us. And again, I would echo, just to close, something that Danny said, that when he said that that he thought Torts made him a better general manager, I kind of laughed, because I felt the same way just in my role here. One of the things I think a lot of folks have seen me do on the road is kind of kick off the press conferences with the players and with Torts. And the one thing about that is that I think he made me better at that part of the job, and really at analyzing the game, because you can't come into a post-game press conference with John Tortorella and just say, "So what'd you think of the game?" You got to come in knowing what happened. You got to have an angle. You've got to have a specific question about something that happened in the game. None of this coming in here with "so what'd you think" stuff. And some nights that was obvious, and some nights it was less obvious, and sometimes more challenging than others. But I certainly feel like that improved my kind of analysis and views of these games, and some of the stuff we try to bring to you in these podcasts and in the radio broadcasts in particular. Kind of understanding the nuances of things a little bit better. Certainly I thought that he helped drive me to be better at that. So certainly I hope one of these days we're talking about him going into the Hall of Fame. When that happens, I hope he shows up at his ceremony, because I don't know that would be a guarantee, but because if there's anything he hates, it's the focus on himself. But it certainly will be well-deserved, and I am certainly glad to have been a part of a career like that'll go down as one of the best coaching careers, especially for an American-born coach, just second to our other old buddy Peter Laviolette in wins among American-born coaches. So, our thanks to him for everything he did for us on the content side. And again, it's our hope that we're going to keep Hockey and Hounds going in some way, shape, or form here, and continue to find homes for these pups at the PSPCA and at Philly Paws. And again, we're going to have a bit of a new look, obviously, to some of our content offerings next season. So we are excited about what's to come there. But again, it's a difficult day every time this happens. Unfortunately, this is going to be my 10th head coach in my time with the Philadelphia Flyers. So it's always a difficult day, but it always does end up settling itself out, and everybody moves on. And as Danny said in his avail, we all hope that this is the bottom of the rebuild, and it's nothing but up from here. And so we will see definitely how that goes in the coming weeks. But again, a 6-4 win for the Flyers here over the Montreal Canadiens in a game that had lots of entertainment, lots of energy, and they're going to look to carry that momentum into Saturday afternoon matinee hockey at Wells Fargo Center against the Buffalo Sabres. It's a 1 p.m. start, and we'd love to have you down at Wells Fargo Center. Tickets available at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. So we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday. And looking forward to having Jason back for Mondays with Meltzer here on Flyers Daily. Have a great one, everyone.